this out.
You're gonna learn today.
Greetings to you. I'm Brother John Muhammad, President of the Childs Park Neighborhood Association. And we want to thank you for your continued support of the work that we've been doing over the past few years. The purpose of this video is really to discuss what we would consider the bigger picture and talk about some of the work that we've done and some of the things that we intend on doing in the future. Basically, our community, as we all know, goes through different highs and lows where we celebrate, the wins and victories, and then we also experience different tragedies in our community. And then during those times of tragedy, our community becomes very reactionary, and we call a lot of different meetings, and we talk about what has to happen and what needs to happen and what should happen, and we go through those moments. And oftentimes after those moments pass, some of us go back to doing the same thing that we were doing before, which might have been nothing at all, and then others continue to work on projects that they have going on. A lot of times when we do that, it kind of splits our focus and splits our energy in the community and takes us on different paths, because everybody's scrambling and moving to try and get something done, because that's the cry, something needs to be done. And I'll give you an example. Towards the end of last year in 2015, there was like 7 murders over a period of 7 weeks. And being in the position that I'm in and the work that we've done, people call me and say, hey, Brother John, we want to get together and do something. So we assembled a team of people, maybe about 10 to 12 people, and we were meeting at Tonio Brown's barbershop. Shout out to Tonio Brown, the barber, Central Station Barbershop, and he was hosting these Stop the Violence planning sessions. And while we were having those planning sessions, another murder occurred. And Lewis Stevens, shout out to Lewis Stevens, he asked for, he called a meeting. He said, he was fed up with it and he wanted to meet and discuss, what we could come together and do as a community. And so we were already meeting, and the meeting that he called was on the same night of a meeting that we were having. And so, people were asking me, what should we do? And so what I did was I suggested that instead of us meeting separately, that we go over and support, the effort that Brother Lewis was launching and what he was putting together. So we did. We went over, we had a very successful meeting that led to us going out into the streets, knocking on doors and talking to people. Well, then they decided to have weekly meetings, and the weekly meetings were again on the same day as our meetings that were scheduled. And so what we decided to do, instead of having 2 separate groups meeting at 2 separate locations, 2 separate times, working on the same issue, I said, let's just merge the 2 groups and everybody continue to support the effort of Brother Lewis and then the board that was established. And as a result of that, we helped to, kickstart the movement that is now referred to as I Support You. I highlight that as an example of how, sometimes we have to put our agenda and our thing to the side, for the bigger cause and for the bigger picture. And so that's what we did in that example. And now here we are again, a few months later. Tragically, there has been, 3 girls that were, that died in a apparent car accident that is currently still under investigation and being questioned, the actions of the police and what have you. But nonetheless, these were 3 lives that were lost from our community. And so in response to that, there was another call to Brother John saying we got to do something. We had actually already had a meeting planned for April 19th. Before that happened, we had a meeting scheduled. And the meeting that we had scheduled, we had invited the Community Affairs Director, Pastor Kenny Irby. He's the newly appointed Director of Community Intervention, pardon me. And so we were going to hear from him. Well, I got a message today from Mr. Irby that, he had the schedule wrong, and he thought that the meeting was on the 16th, which is Saturday, and he was going to be attending another forum that's going to be had on April 19th, which is the day he was supposed to come to Childs Park. So what we decided to do was to, instead of, again, having two separate meetings on the same night to discuss the same topic, what we will be doing is we would like to encourage those who have committed to come to the Childs Park Recreation Center on April 19th for the Tuesday meeting to hear from Pastor Irby. We want to let you know that he will not be there. He will be at P-TECH, and him and along with others from different communities will be also addressing the issue of youth and crime prevention, which is what we were going to talk about. And so again, instead of splitting the focus of the community, what we would like to do is encourage everyone who was going to come to our meeting to go over to P-TECH on 11th Avenue and 34th Street South at 6:00 p.m. and we'll post a flyer to it to attend that event, because we really need to unite and be together as a community. So it's not about us and our meeting and our agenda. We were going to talk about the same thing anyway. So let's partner. We're going to partner with those who will be doing that work. And so we want to encourage you to go over to the P-TECH on 11th Avenue and 34th Street so that you can participate in that youth discussion. From what I understand, the format is going to include youth in the community. It's let the youth talk and the adults listen. And Pastor Irby and others from the community will be present to hear from our children. And so we want you to go out as well. So I said all of that to say that, we have strived to really be an example of what it means to subordinate our desires for what we think is best for the community, and also how we can collaborate and play in the sandbox well. And so we'd like to encourage you to continue to support our work and to continue to support anyone who's trying to do anything positive in the community. And that's really it. So thank you all for your continued support of our efforts. And as always, we like to encourage you to believe and do good.